Do you ever notice how quiet a house gets after midnight? I am not talking about normal quiet. I mean that heavy kind of silence where every tiny sound feels wrong. The kind of silence where a baby should be sleeping in the next room, but you suddenly realize you cannot hear them breathing at all. Before we start the story, do not forget to subscribe to our channel because there are many more terrifying stories coming. All right. Let me tell you 5 true babysitting stories that people swear actually happened to them. Listen closely. By the end, you might never feel safe alone in someone else's house again.
Story 1. The baby monitor that did not belong to them. So, this was about 3 years ago in a quiet suburb near Columbus, Ohio. My friend Megan picked up some extra cash babysitting for this couple who lived in a nice 2-story house at the end of a cul-de-sac. Picture it the perfect American family home. Clean lawn, white fence, pumpkins on the porch. Nothing scary. The parents were super friendly. The mom showed Megan the nursery upstairs where their 6-month-old son Ethan was already asleep. There was a small lamp on, a rocking chair, and a baby monitor on the dresser. The dad pointed at the monitor and said, "You can watch him from the living room. If he stirs, just give it a minute. He usually falls back asleep." They left around 8:30. Megan went downstairs, turned on the TV, and scrolled on her phone. Totally normal. Every few minutes, she glanced at the baby monitor screen. Ethan was still in his crib, tiny body under a blue blanket, little chest rising and falling. Nothing weird. Around 9:15, things changed. Megan glanced at the monitor and froze. The camera was no longer pointed at the crib. All she could see was the wall, white paint, a corner, a bit of ceiling. She thought maybe the parents had moved it earlier and she just did not notice, so she went upstairs to check. The nursery was exactly how they left it. Lamp on, rocking chair empty, Ethan sleeping peacefully. But the baby monitor camera was aimed perfectly at the crib, not the wall. She frowned, checked the screen again upstairs. The little preview on the monitor showed the crib just fine. She shrugged, went back down, and told herself she must have imagined it. When she sat on the couch and looked at the big monitor screen again, her stomach dropped. The camera was back to showing the wall. This time she watched closely. The image was still, no static, no glitching, just a blank patch of wall, like the camera had been turned away and focused on nothing. Megan whispered to herself, "Maybe it's lagging or something." She went up again. The camera was still perfectly aimed at the crib. She waved her hand in front of it and checked the monitor in the nursery. The preview updated instantly, no delay. Back in the living room, the big monitor still showed the wall. That was the first moment she felt truly watched, like someone unseen was in the house, messing with her head. She grabbed her phone to text the mom, but stopped. How crazy would she sound? "Hey, I think your baby monitor is haunted." So instead, she did something simple. She unplugged the monitor from the wall in the living room. The screen stayed on. She stared at the glowing screen in her hand, no cord, no power, and that same unmoving shot of white wall. Then the audio crackled. Not baby noise, not static. A man's voice. Low, very close to the microphone. He whispered, "I can see you better from here." Megan nearly dropped the monitor. She bolted up the stairs and burst into the nursery. Ethan woke up and started crying. The camera above the crib now slowly turned, motor humming softly as if tracking her. There was no one else in the room. She grabbed the baby, ran downstairs, and called the parents in a shaking voice. While it rang, she glanced at the monitor one last time. The wall was gone. The camera now showed the living room couch, the empty spot where she had been sitting 10 seconds earlier. The parents rushed home, furious and scared, and called the police. You want to know the worst part? It was not the house that was haunted. The cops found a tiny second camera hidden inside the plastic shell of the baby monitor. Someone had installed extra hardware in it and was streaming the feed to another device. That voice Megan heard belonged to a real man. The couple had bought the monitor online from a third-party seller. Whoever modified it might still have access to other monitors in other homes. Megan never babysat again after that night.
Story 2. The basement door that would not stay closed. This one happened to me. I still get goosebumps thinking about it. I was 19, watching a 7-year-old girl named Lily in a small town outside Denver, Colorado. Her parents were going to a late dinner and told me 3 simple rules. No sweets after 8, no TV after 9, and do not open the basement door. The way that Dad said that last one made me laugh awkwardly. I asked if they had a messy storage space down there or something. The mom just said, "The stairs are steep. We do not want Lily playing near them. Just keep that door shut." They left around 7:45. Lily and I played a board game. Then she watched a cartoon in the living room. I sat on the couch, scrolling my phone, trying to ignore the weird, uneasy feeling that always comes when you are in someone else's house at night. The house was quiet, except for the TV. The hallway lights were off. You could see the kitchen faintly lit by the refrigerator glow, and beyond that, the dark rectangle of the basement door. About 8:30, Lily yawned and asked for a glass of water. I went to the kitchen. That is when I noticed the basement door was open a few inches. I clearly remembered seeing it closed when the parents left. I walked over, heart thumping for no real reason, and gently pushed it shut until the latch clicked. I even tested it. It felt solid. I went back to Lily, gave her water, and we kept watching TV. 10 minutes later, I glanced toward the kitchen. The basement door was open again. Not wide, just the same few inches, enough to see blackness and the top 3 steps vanishing straight down into cold air. You know that feeling when every instinct in your body says, "Do not look," but you keep staring anyway? That was me. I stood up slowly, trying not to alarm Lily. "Hey, I'm just going to check something in the kitchen, okay?" She barely looked away from the screen. In the kitchen, the air felt cooler. I went to the door, pushed it closed again, and this time turned the small lock above the knob. I even said out loud, "Stay closed." On my way back to the living room, the TV volume dipped. I thought the channel changed, but no, Lily was staring past me, eyes wide, toward the kitchen. "The door is open," she whispered. I turned around. The basement door now stood completely open. The lock was still turned. I could see all the way down the stairs. The light at the bottom was off. It was pure black, the kind of dark that feels thick. I grabbed Lily by the hand. We backed up to the couch. I picked up my phone, ready to call her parents, and that's when we heard it. Footsteps on the stairs, slow, deliberate, coming up from the darkness. The sound of a bare foot on old wood. Step, step, step. There was no one home but us. I did not wait. I scooped Lily up and ran to the front door. My hand shook so badly I struggled with the lock, but I got it open. We ran out to the front yard in the cold night air, and I called her parents and then 911. From the driveway, we could see into the house, the living room, the hallway, the kitchen, and that basement door, still open. The footsteps kept coming until they reached the top, then stopped. No one appeared. The police showed up and did a full sweep. They went down into the basement, checked every room, every corner. Nothing. No forced entry, no sign anyone else had been inside. Except one thing. On the basement floor, near the washer, they found a bare footprint in dust, long and narrow like a man's, fresh, leading toward the stairs. Here's where it gets worse. When Lily's parents came home, her mom went white when she heard what happened, because that's not the first time the door had opened on its own. She admitted they had moved into the house only 6 months earlier. The previous owners had left because their teenage son had fallen down those basement stairs and broken his neck. He died at the bottom. That boy had a habit his whole life of leaving the basement door standing open no matter how many times his parents closed it. The mom looked at Lily and said, "That is why we told you to keep it shut. We did not want you to scare the sitter." I never went back to that house. Sometimes when I'm in a quiet place at night and I hear a creak on the stairs behind me, I remember that door that refused to stay closed.
Story 3. The Wrong Kid in the Window. This story came from a girl named Ashley, who used to babysit all over Phoenix, Arizona. She told me this one while we were on a late shift together, and she swore she was not making it up. Ashley had been hired by a couple who lived in a nice one-story house on a corner lot. They had one child, a 5-year-old boy named Noah. The mom said Noah tended to wake up during storms, so if he got scared, Ashley should just sit with him until he calmed down. That night a storm rolled in fast. Around 9:30, thunder shook the windows. The rain sounded like someone throwing handfuls of gravel against the glass. Ashley sat on the couch, scrolling her phone, jumping every time the thunder cracked. The house lights flickered once, then steadied. Every sound felt amplified by the storm. Around 10, she heard soft footsteps in the hallway and the quiet little voice of a child. "Ash? Lee?" She looked up and saw Noah standing at the end of the hallway in his pajamas, hair messy, holding his stuffed dinosaur by one arm. "Hey, buddy," she said. "Did the thunder wake you up?" He nodded, eyes big. "Can you sit with me?" "Of course." She walked over, took his hand, and led him back to his bedroom. He climbed into bed, clutching the dinosaur. She sat in the desk chair by the window while he settled under the blanket. The storm went on outside. Flashes of lightning lit up the room every few seconds, throwing weird shadows on the wall. Noah stared at the ceiling. Ashley talked softly about school and cartoons until his eyes got heavy. His breathing slowed. Within 15 minutes, he was asleep again. She stayed a few extra minutes to be sure, then stood up quietly and stepped into the hallway. She pulled his door almost shut, leaving a small crack. Back in the living room, she glanced at the front window and froze. There in the reflection of the glass, she saw a small figure standing at the end of the hallway again. Same height, same messy hair, just a pale outline in the flash of lightning. "Ash Lee." The voice was exactly the same as before, but it was coming from behind her. She spun around. No one was in the hallway. Cold washed through her. She tried to tell herself the thunder had messed with her ears, that maybe she had imagined it. Just to be safe, she walked back to Noah's room. He was still sound asleep in bed. Same position, dinosaur tucked against his chest, mouth slightly open. There was no way he had walked to the hallway and back without waking. Ashley stood there, heart pounding, listening to the rain. She went back to the living room and this time grabbed the remote for some background noise. The house felt wrong now, heavy, like someone else was there just out of sight. Another flash of lightning lit up the front window. This time she did not see a reflection. She saw a face, a child's face, staring in from outside, so close the nose almost touched the glass. White skin, wide eyes that did not blink. The next rumble of thunder hid her gasp. The face was gone on the next flash. Ashley ran to the window and looked out. The front yard was empty. No kid, just rain pouring off the roof and running down the sidewalk. There were no wet footprints on the porch. She tried to calm down. Maybe it was a reflection of a toy, maybe a neighbor kid, maybe anything but what it looked like. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Noah's mom. "Hey, just checking in. Is Noah okay? He usually wakes up in storms." Ashley stared at the screen, fingers shaking, then typed back, "Yeah, he came out once, but I put him back to bed. He is sleeping now." The mom replied almost instantly, "That is weird. He's been asleep on our security camera the whole time. We keep a camera in his room because he sleepwalks. It never showed him getting up." Ashley looked down the hallway toward Noah's door. Just a crack of darkness. Lightning flashed again. In the crack of the bedroom door, at about knee height, she saw an eye staring out. Not glowing, not monstrous, just an eye, like a kid pressed his face to the gap in the door. But Noah was asleep on camera. Ashley grabbed her stuff, rushed into Noah's room, and flicked on the light. He jerked awake, confused. No one else was there. She checked the closet, under the bed, behind the curtains. Nothing. She ended up sitting awake in a chair beside his bed until the parents came home. Later, when the mom showed her the security footage from that night, it was somehow worse. The video showed Noah asleep the entire time. But behind him, in the dark corner of the room, a small shadow shifted, child-sized, moving closer to the bed, then back into the corner. The mom said they had recently bought the house from a family that lost a little girl in a car accident. Her bedroom was the same one Noah slept in. The previous family used to say she hated storms. She would come into their room and call out that exact same name, Ashley, like she was calling for her older sister.
Story 4. The Caller from Upstairs. This one took place in a quiet neighborhood outside Seattle, Washington. A college student named Brian answered an ad for a one-night babysitting job. The pay was good, and the parents said their daughter Emma was already asleep. He basically just had to be there. When he arrived around 8, the house looked pretty normal, a little cluttered, but nothing strange. The mom walked him through the kitchen, showed him the snack drawer, and pointed upstairs. "Emma is 5, she said. Her bedroom is at the top of the stairs on the left. She had a long day, so she went down early. Please do not wake her unless she is crying." The dad added, "You can call or text us any time, but their signal might be spotty at the restaurant." They left. Brian sat on the couch, turned on a movie, and tried to enjoy an easy paycheck. The house was quiet. Too quiet, really. He kept glancing at the ceiling, half expecting to hear a kid running around. Around 9:30, his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost let it go to voicemail, but decided to answer. "Hello?" There was a pause. Then a small voice said, "Is my mom there?" Brian blinked. "Hey, sweetie, who is this?" "Emma." The voice was faint, like the kid was far from the phone. Brian stood up slowly, heart starting to speed up. "Emma, you're supposed to be in bed. Where are you calling from?" "Upstairs," she said. "In my room." He looked toward the staircase. The house phone sat on a little table by the kitchen. Its base was empty. "Are you using a phone up there?" The girl giggled softly. It sounded wrong, like it was coming through a tunnel. "Mommy left it under my bed," she said, "for when the man comes back." A chill went straight through Brian. "What man?" She did not answer for a few seconds, just breathing. Then, in a whisper that sounded like it was right next to his ear, even though it was on the phone, she said, "He's in the closet." Brian did not think. He bolted for the stairs, taking them two at a time. "Emma!" The hallway at the top was dark. Only a nightlight glowed near the bathroom. Emma's bedroom door was half open, a thin stripe of darkness inside. He pushed the door open gently. The room smelled like crayons and baby shampoo. Emma lay in bed, tiny body under a pink blanket, stuffed animal in her arms. She was fast asleep. Her phone was not on the pillow. There was no phone at all. The closet door was closed. Brian took a breath, grabbed a small lamp from the dresser, and yanked the door open. Nothing. Just clothes, a couple of boxes, and a row of tiny shoes. His phone still pressed to his ear. The line was silent now. He pulled it away and saw the screen. Call ended. He went downstairs, half angry at himself for getting so scared. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe the parents had another kid messing with him. He checked the caller ID. No number, just unknown. He decided to call Emma's mom to double-check things. No answer. He left a message saying, "Hey, just making sure everything is okay here. I got a weird call." About 20 minutes later, his phone rang again. Same unknown number. Brian answered with a tight voice. "Look, this is not funny. Who is this?" Soft breathing. Then, Emma's voice again. "Why did you open the closet?" Brian's skin crawled. "Emma, if you are awake, you need to come downstairs." She giggled, but the laugh felt colder this time. "I cannot," she said. "He locked me in." Brian sprinted upstairs again, heart slamming against his ribs. He burst into the room. Emma was still asleep. Same position, same steady breathing. The closet door was now open 2 inches. Inside was pitch black. His phone slipped a little in his sweaty hand. He could still hear her breathing through the speaker, but the sound did not match the girl in the bed. It sounded like someone was holding the phone against their chest in a small, enclosed space. Brian stepped closer to the closet. The air was noticeably colder in front of it, that heavy cold that makes your teeth ache. He whispered into the phone, "Where are you?" Her voice changed, no longer small and shy, more like a grown woman imitating a child. "Right behind you." Every hair on his body lifted. He dropped the phone, grabbed Emma off the bed, and ran out of the room. He did not stop until they were outside on the front lawn. She woke up, crying, confused. He held her and called 911. The police searched the house top to bottom. No intruder. All doors and windows locked from the inside. No second phone either. The weirdest part was the call history. Later, the parents showed Brian the records from their phone company. Those 2 calls had been made from the landline inside the house. The one in the kitchen. The one he had walked past 10 times that night. The one that never once rang out loud. Story 5. The Last Picture on the Nanny Cam. The last story takes place in a quiet area near Austin, Texas. A girl named Kayla answered a listing on an app for a recurring babysitting job every Friday night. The parents seemed normal enough, 2 professionals with a 3-year-old daughter named Harper. They mentioned casually that they had a nanny cam in the living room so they could check in while they were out. Kayla did not care. She was not planning to do anything weird. The first 2 Fridays were easy. They ordered pizza, she played with Harper, then put her to bed by 8:30. She watched TV until the parents came home. No issues. The 3rd Friday is the one that still bothers her. That night, the parents seemed a little tense as they left. The dad double-checked the front door lock and said in a low voice, "If you hear anything strange, just stay with Harper and call us. Do not open the door for anyone." Kayla joked, "Is there something I should know?" The mom forced a smile. "We have had some trouble with someone ringing the bell and running away. Just kids, I'm sure." They left. Harper was clingy that evening, asking Kayla not to turn all the lights off. She kept glancing at the big living room window like she expected someone to be standing there. After some coaxing and a bedtime story, Harper finally fell asleep. Kayla closed the door most of the way and sat on the couch. The nanny cam was a small black dome on the bookshelf. There was a tiny red light on it, blinking occasionally. Kayla waved at it once as a joke. Around 9:15, the doorbell rang. The sound cut through the quiet house like a scream. Kayla jumped. She remembered what the dad said and stayed on the couch, staring at the front door. The bell rang again. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Whoever it was pressed the button rhythmically in a way that felt deliberate, not playful. She quietly walked over, keeping the living room lights on. She did not get too close to the door, just peeked toward the small frosted window beside it. A shadow moved there, tall, human-shaped. Her phone buzzed. It was a notification from the NannyCam app the parents had asked her to install for emergencies. Motion detected in living room. She glanced at the bookshelf. The camera light was solid now, not blinking. Recording. The bell stopped. A few seconds later, there was a slow scrape along the outside of the door, like fingernails or something sharp dragging down wood. Kayla stepped back, every muscle tight. After what felt like forever, the sound stopped. No more bell, no more scraping, just heavy silence and the sound of her own breathing. She waited 10 full minutes before she dared to move. Then she checked on Harper, who was still asleep, and texted the parents. "Hey, someone was ringing the doorbell repeatedly. I did not open it. Thought you should know." No response. The rest of the night passed uneventfully. The parents got home around midnight, thanking her and apologizing for the weirdness. The dad walked her to her car while the mom checked on Harper. The next Friday, they canceled suddenly. Then the Friday after that. Weeks passed with no word. Finally, Kayla saw a news article shared on social media about a break-in in that same neighborhood. Her stomach dropped when she saw the photo of the house. It was theirs. She clicked the article. There were no signs of forced entry, it said, but the police were investigating a series of disturbing images recovered from a hacked NannyCam account belonging to the family. She read every word. Her hand shook so badly she nearly dropped her phone. According to the article, the police found that someone had been accessing the NannyCam remotely for weeks, watching, saving pictures at random times of night. Most of them showed normal scenes: Harper playing, Kayla on the couch, the parents watching TV. But the very last image, time-stamped 1 week after Kayla stopped babysitting, was different. It showed Harper asleep on the living room floor in front of the TV, and behind her, crouched on the back of the couch, was a figure, thin, dressed in black, face completely hidden by a white mask. The eyes of the mask were just dark holes, staring straight into the camera lens. The police believed the intruder had entered the house using a key taken from a lockbox outside. He probably had been inside while the family slept more than once. The article did not say what finally happened to the family, just that the father had been the one to send the footage to the police. Kayla realized something then that made her feel sick. The night the doorbell rang over and over, the camera had sent the same motion detected alert to the parents, too. They had seen what she did not. Later, one of the detectives contacted her for more information. Off the record, he told her that they had found one more unsaved frame in the camera's buffer, a kind of glitch image that never got stored properly. It was from the night she had been babysitting, the night of the doorbell. The picture was grainy, but clear enough. It showed Kayla on the couch, looking at her phone, the front door behind her, and through the narrow frosted window beside the door, you could just make out the shape of a white mask pressed against the glass. Not looking for the lock, not looking for a way in, looking straight past her, at the camera, at whoever was watching. So the next time you think about picking up an easy babysitting job for some extra money, just remember how quiet houses get at night, and how many places there are in a dark room for someone to stand perfectly still and watch you without making a sound.